Hey everyone, we're going to evaluate this integral given, and we're going to use integration by parts. So what we have is we're going to use integration by parts and then evaluate the integral of x cosine pi x dx over the interval from 0 to 1/2. So let's set up our choose our u and dv. We'll let our u equal x, because that's algebraic, and then our dv is going to equal cosine everything else, which is cosine pi x dx. Therefore, the derivative of u equals derivative of x, and the antiderivative of cosine pi of x is going to be 1 divided by pi sine pi x. So we're going to use our formula. So this equals uv, so that's going to be, let's write it like 1 divided by pi, then let's put the x, and then sine pi x. And now we're going to evaluate it, and you can just do it like this, over the interval from 0 to 1/2. Then go ahead and do the second part of the equation, the integral from 1/2, or from 0 to 1/2 of v, which is 1 pi over pi sine of pi x times du, which is dx. So continuing on, I'm going to evaluate this. So I plug in 0, or I plug in 1/2. When you plug in 1/2, you're going to get 1 divided by 2 pi and sine of pi divided by 2 minus, and when you substitute x for 0, you're just going to get 0. Okay, continuing on here, let's take the antiderivative of this here. So you're going to get, that's going to be, and I want to go ahead and I'm going to pull out the 1 over pi, this 1 over pi out first before I take it. So I'm moving him there. And so this is going to be negative 1 divided by pi cosine of pi x. And then we'll evaluate this over the interval from 0 to 1/2. So now we're going to continue on. And this is going to equal sine of pi over 2 is just 1. So you get 1 divided by 2 pi. Also can pull this this out here, since it's a constant. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. So that's going to be plus 1 divided by pi squared. And then we can just evaluate that. So that's going to be times cosine pi divided by 2 minus cosine of 0. So that gives you 1 divided by 2 pi minus 1 divided by pi divided by 2, and cosine of pi, oh, that's plus, divided by 2 is just 0, or pi over 2, and this cosine of 0 is just negative, or just 1. So it's going to be negative 1. So what you're going to end up getting is going to be, with this negative, 1 divided by 2 pi plus 1 divided by pi squared. Now we can simplify that, so I'll write it again. 1 divided by 2 pi plus 1 divided by pi squared. And if I get your common denominator, it's going to be 2 pi squared. And then we can just simplify the numerator. So this is going to be pi plus 2. So that would be a better way to write this. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.